lot of that in this book. So can you give us some insights into how the government can make people basically disappear?
Yeah, so I love taking people into worlds they've never seen, below the tunnels of the White House and the labyrinth below the Capitol. Here in this book, I tackled, as you said, witness protection. And we all think of witness protection like Tony Soprano and the mob.
Right, yes.
And that's what witness protection was created for, to take down the mob. But it worked. And so for a while, mobsters were the biggest group there. But then crime didn't stop. We started having gang members were big. So gang members became the biggest group in witness protection. When 9/11 happened, well, now we were chasing terrorists. Terrorists became the biggest group. You want to know the biggest group, one of them in witness protection right now? It's accountants. Because
really?
Data is king right now. So I promise you, you will never look at witness protection the same way again when you read The Viper.
Okay, I like this because you're teaching us new things, things that we would have never known about. I mean, you are really hitting the ground running when it comes to the research and figuring out all the behind the scenes before even getting to the plot of your book. I'm curious too, because you talk a little bit about Dover Air Force Base in here as well, this secretive funeral home. Tell me more about those.
Yeah, so I started working with the USO many years ago, and they've taken me all across the country to entertain our troops because troops love thrillers. And it was there I heard about Dover. And Dover's a place, if you've never heard about it, it's where when a soldier's killed in action, that flag-covered coffin comes off the plane and everyone salutes. But that's not what goes only to Dover. The astronauts, when the space shuttle exploded, their bodies went to Dover. On 9/11, the Pentagon victims all went to Dover. And all of our spies in Venezuela or anywhere else, when something goes sideways, their bodies go to Dover too, which means Dover's a place filled with secrets.
Yes.
And I love secrets. And they'll rewire someone's jaw, smooth it over with clay because a son, a mom and dad say, I want to see my son one last time. Rebuild someone's hand because a mother says, I want to hold my son or daughter's hand one last time. And I love the fact that I can show people the empathy and the love that is shown there. My main character is this woman. If you like the girl with the dragon tattoo, she's like that. She's just like a super fighter kind of, and I love the fact that you get to see this world in America's most secretive funeral home.
I mean,
that's what you see in The Viper.
Oh my God, I mean, you really are taking real life situations and putting it into this situation, which I think we can indulge in, but it also makes you think a little bit further right after you put the book down, thinking about some of the things that are going on behind the scenes. What do we want to know more about, especially coming through Dover? It sounds like a lot goes through Dover. Let's talk about, because although this is a thriller, you do not shy away from difficult topics, right? And so you're touching on veteran mental health even, and tell me why that was so important to make sure that was a topic here in this book.
Yeah, right now, since 9/11, you are 4 times more likely to die by suicide in the military than you are in combat.
Wow.
And that struck me. For over 30,000 U.S. troops, that's the end of the game. And the most important quote in the whole book is the last thing I put in there. It's the opening quote. It says, I don't believe in closure. I'm not sure we ever get over anything. And I thought it was about the troops, but I realized it was about my dad. I lost my dad many years ago. I had a complicated relationship. And there's this, as I said, the main character is this female painter in the book. And there's a word in the book called pentimento, a word I never knew what it was, never knew what it meant. And pentimento is when paint gets so old and so dry, you can start seeing through it. And it becomes translucent. And so you can see the artist's first lines on the painting, the pencil sketches, the first draft filled with mistakes and regrets. A woman's dress that's swaying this way is suddenly they change their mind and swaying that way. But what I realized we're all rough drafts. Every single one of us. We all have past versions of ourselves, older versions of ourselves, filled with mistakes, filled with regrets, but you can't make a masterpiece without them. And I realized closure is overrated. What you have to do is love yourself for who you are. And the reason why The Viper is the most personal book I think I've ever written is because it gave me some forgiveness with my dad. I buried my mom, buried my dad, and I was trying to get over it, but I'm not sure I ever forgive them. And this book finally gave me that sense of, I won't say closure, but of, again, loving myself and loving my dad for who he is.
How incredible. I mean, my goodness, you are setting the standard even for other people before they read this book, and maybe they can do the same in their lives, which is a very difficult step to take. And so this might be the first step in just reading this and maybe finding the way to do that. And so I appreciate you coming on here, being so vulnerable, talking about the book and what you hope readers take away from it after they're done with it. Tell us where we can find the book.
Yeah, so the book is at all local bookstores. I have an event tonight at Half Price Books, which I'm so excited, and I sign my kids' books, I'll sign my adult books. But I think what is so important, right, is right now, for me, is that last message, is to really accept yourself. If we just love the good parts of ourselves and not the bad parts, we're doing ourselves a disservice. And I love the fact that so many people have read the book and said, I love this character. She's just like the girl with the dragon tattoo. I love this character. You took me in this place I've never been before. I love turning the pages, but I love when I learn something in a book.
Yes, yes. Well, I think there's plenty to learn in this book. Thank you again for being here. And my goodness, wishing you nothing but the best. I'm sure this will be another literary hit like we talked about. And Brad, like you said, we'll be signing copies of The Viper at half-price books on Northwest Highway in Dallas at 6:30 tonight. So if you don't have plans, there's your plans, and you can get a copy wherever books are sold.